They have to be cheating. There's no way. I mean, there is a way, because I predicted this a year ago when Xabi Alonso said that he was not going to be leaving Bayer Leverkusen after their perfect season, even though multiple fantastic job opportunities were open. I already knew. I wasn't born yesterday. I've been following all of this shit. I already knew exactly what happened. Real Madrid was going to bring him in after a year. Guess where we are now? Real Madrid has landed inarguably the best coaching prospect on the planet. A guy that took Bayer Leverkusen from the bottom half of the Bundesliga, near relegation threatened, to a completely unbeaten season, the first one ever in Germany, and ending the tyranny of Bayern Munich. And even though Bayern Munich has returned to the top this year, Bayer Leverkusen has finished in second and sauntered their way right into the Champions League knockouts, only being bested by the same Bayern Munich team. It is remarkable what Xabi Alonso has done as a manager. Obviously, he was a great player, but his rise to being clearly what made him a great player is also a contributing factor to him being a great manager. Right? Those two things are linked. They are one in the same. And so he rolled right into being a reserve coach at Real Sociedad, straight into being the coach at Bayer Leverkusen, and has turned that into, deservedly, being the coach at Real Madrid. But I can't help but feeling that all of this is a little unfair. It's unfair. It has to be. Because there's no way, I refuse to believe that there is any way that every other owner of a club is, or director of football or manager or whatever is this much worse at this than Real Madrid. Real Madrid is showing everybody how to do transfer business, how to bully clubs, how to identify players that you want or managers that you want years in advance and prepare them for the opportunity to get the blessing of playing for your club. That's what they're doing. They've got the best manager for free. They keep signing all of the best players for free. Eventually, somebody else has to catch on. Somebody else has got to start doing this. Arne Slot was doing a press conference, first press conference after Trent Alexander-Arnold, said that he was leaving Liverpool. We all know where he's going. I don't think it was in the official announcement, but we all know where he's going. He's going to Real Madrid. Right? And he said, it's a trend and it's always the same club. Yeah. They're kicking everyone's ass at this. They're kicking everyone's ass. And if you are not overhauling your entire transfer policy to try and replicate what Real Madrid is doing, what they have done over the past 5-10 years, in terms of, we're going to blow big money on a guy that, Jude Bellingham, who should be worth $200 million, but we only have to pay $100 million to get him. Right? And we're going to get all these other complimentary, stunning pieces for free, like Rudiger and Alaba and Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kylian Mbappe, for crying out loud. All of those took years of work. See, this is what separates a team like Manchester United, which is, I would put it, the very opposite end of the spectrum from Real Madrid. Manchester United could have gone bar for bar, band for band with Real Madrid. Obviously not in Champions League titles. Before Ronaldo got there, it could have been closer, right? But they've been, I don't know if you've noticed, Real Madrid's been on a bit of a hot streak recently. But there was a point where those two clubs were kind of in the same ballpark. And then one has these reactionary transfers where they overpay for guys that they want in the moment. And the other, led by a man that I despise, Florentino Perez, has, the way I envision it is basically in his office. He's got a big whiteboard, right? And on that whiteboard, he has names and like timelines. And he goes, okay, this is when this person's contract ends. This is when this person's contract ends. I imagine that for every member of his entire team, he has 4 or 5 potential replacements when their contract ends, when, how often they've expressed interest in Real Madrid. That's how you should be doing it. That's how everybody should be doing it. Because in the era of FFP, the value of being able to get a player for free, the value of being able to get a player for something way below their max price, like let's say they get Saliba in the final year of his contract and you're paying, that is worth so much more than just having the player on your team, because it leaves you with the financial flexibility to go splash on a Jude Bellingham when that is the only option to acquire a player like that, or go get Erling Haaland for $75 million when his release clause is so disgustingly below what his actual value is because of a great negotiation by an agent. And it wouldn't be that hard to maintain. But instead, we live in a world where clubs are very reactionary, and you get the feeling, I mean, Chelsea obviously has a different strategy. We're going to spend a ton of money to get a bunch of really young, talented players and hope that enough of them develop into great players. I honestly think that strategy is far from the worst one I've seen, too. Just personal opinion. I think Chelsea's idea, very football manager of them, is to just bring in as many wonder kids as possible and hope that something sticks. It's like throwing a bunch of shit against the wall. But the good thing about throwing a bunch of shit against the wall is some of it's going to stick. Right? That wall isn't coated in some sort of pan spray and it's all just going to slide down. Some of it's going to stick on the wall, right? You're going to hit a Cole Palmer up against the wall, even if he's been a little worse than the year before. He's still good, right? It's going to work. But Real Madrid's is bulletproof. They reach out to these guys years in advance. Xabi Alonso, while he was having his unbeaten season with Bayer Leverkusen, was probably getting text after text from Florentino Perez saying, hey, love what you're doing. You're doing a great job managing. I imagine it'd be really cool to have you managing Real Madrid one day. And then that plants the idea in the back of Xabi Alonso's mind, the same way it happened with Rudiger, with Mbappe, with Trent. That idea just starts to fester. And you have that on your whiteboard. You've got all these timelines, and you go, okay, if Carlo Ancelotti expires after this next year, we have Xabi Alonso. His contract's coming up. Perfect. He's probably got an option below that as well. Somebody that'd be like, hey, I feel like you could be a coach of this team. Right? And you just move those pieces in and out. You see what works. But they're beating everybody else. And it's amazing to me because how much money and how much emotional investment is overall involved in this sport, that one team can be doing it so much better than everybody else. There shouldn't be this much of a skill gap. But there is. It's obvious that there is. One of the best right backs in the world and the best coach in the world are now headed for peanuts to the team that has been the best team in the world for a long time. How is that fair? Somebody's got to pick it up and stop them from being able to do this. Right? Somebody's got to start texting people 4 years in advance saying, hey, I think you'd be able to play for Liverpool one day. Hey, I think you could really make a Bayern Munich player one day. Congratulations. And Bayern, I would say the closest team to this is Bayern. They do a pretty good job of this. They vacuum up a lot of that German talent. They're trying to vacuum up Florian Wirtz as I speak right now. But Real Madrid's still doing it on another level. Because Real Madrid at the end of the day is the one that is winning at the highest level, a level that Bayern Munich just doesn't win at nearly as much. But somebody else, this is the new way to do transfers. Florentino Perez has figured it out before anybody else. This is the way that it has to be done. This is the successful way to do it. You can go splash money and buy people, but you got to fucking have that board with all the contracts and the contacts and all these different things up there. Because if this Xabi Alonso to Real Madrid thing proves anything to me, it's that Florentino Perez is playing 4D chess while most of these clubs are out here playing checkers, and freaking Manchester United still trying to get off tic-tac-toe. And I don't mean to go at them too much because they are certainly not the only one that is stuck playing cats games on tic-tac-toe. Maybe they can level it up to Connect 4 at some point. I don't know. But these teams are going to continue to get crushed until they figure out a way to anticipate this. And I want to give credit to one team. Arsenal sees the train coming. And they are very publicly attempting to negotiate a deal for William Saliba that will extend his contract out a long ways because they can see that Real Madrid train coming, but they are not giving it enough time to fester enough for William Saliba. And if that fails, then Saliba is going to have to be purchased by Real Madrid. Even if it's at a discount, that will make Arsenal money and cost Real Madrid money. So people are starting to wake up. Arsenal has joined the club of teams that are waking up. You just need more teams to wake up. It'll happen, I'm sure. But I'm starting to get angry because I never really liked Real Madrid, but I have to respect how damn good they are at this stuff, and somebody else needs to figure out how to do it.